Hello and welcome to Angular. This is Christian, your instructor. I want to talk about the final project and the weekly assignments so you can know what to submit for each week. So here in the course shell, I'm going to submit my syllabus first, right? I mean the acknowledgement. If you don't do that, you're not going to see any content here. So go in here and read the syllabus. And once you are done with that, just click this link here and either type in this blue text or you can just copy it just to show me that you read the syllabus, you understand the requirements for this course, and paste it here or type something here, click submit, click OK, and then OK again, and then you should now see the learning unit 1 and the final project here. Okay, and then I'll release each course, each unit a little early, maybe like on a Friday or something, so you can have a couple of days ahead to look at start. Okay, so let's just quickly look in the course schedule here. As you can see, this is a 5-week course. We're moving very fast. The average time spent on per unit is about anywhere between 8 to 10 hours or maybe 15 hours, depending on how much you know and how much you already know in this course, right? So, I mean, that's just the average. Based on previous students, it could be less or more. Okay, so I highly encourage you to start early and don't fall too far behind, because if you do, you may not be able to catch up. And we built this application, and here I'll go in a minute, from the ground up. So from step 1 all the way to the end of the week 5. So that means every assignment that you create in the previous assignment will be used again in the next assignment. So if you did not complete, say, Unit 2 assignments, you may not be able to proceed with Unit 3. Okay, so make sure that everything works here before you can proceed. If you have any questions, if your app doesn't load, doesn't run, you need to let me know so I can help you to make it work. Okay, so the due dates are Monday, every midnight Monday for the previous week until the end of that week, the course. Okay. So let's go over here, look at the learning units inside here. If you have taken my classes, you should know my, you probably are already familiar with my structure. Prepare folder here is where you do all the readings and lectures and things like that. You will see that I'm using some of these old videos from the previous semester. And so these are recorded in a classroom. So the audio is not the best, but hopefully it will give you enough information to get started. Anything mentioned here about due dates or the timeline, please ignore them because they do not apply to this section, okay? But the content should be irrelevant. So yeah, on here, the required readings here and examples here will be links to TypeScript because Angular uses TypeScript as the default language. A little bit different from JavaScript, but it's still JavaScript. And as you notice, right now we are already in Angular 11. Okay, at the time I record these videos last fall, we were in Angular 10, and then some of those videos were way back from Angular 9 and even way back in Angular 6. So they move really fast. Every 6 months a new version is released. Okay, all right. So now when you go to the let's go back in here again to the apply, the practice, just for you to practice. Don't grade those. The apply here. The links to your assignments are usually in red, so these are clickable. And so for this week, you're going to build 2 components, the navigation and the footer component, and also you're going to add a Bootstrap theme to your application. So make sure these are built into the assignment this week. Now, how you submit your assignment is also really important. I mentioned here in yellow and red here, it says do not include the no modules folder. I really mean it. So don't include if you can remember that, please. If you don't, forget it. If you don't remember, well, I guess you don't have a choice, but it's a really large file, so we don't want to include that. You include everything else except that file, okay? So here's an example of what I mean by that. So when you build your app, it will look something like this. This is the app project folder here. Expand that, you see a bunch of files. These are the files needed to run your Angular application. It's a framework, so you have a lot more files that you will normally see for like a React or something like that. So I need you to include everything here except the no modules folder. You can also omit the E2E folder here. This is just for end-to-end testing. We're not going to do that here. So if you don't want to include that, that's okay. But the SRC folder that contains all your source code, your source file, any assets are all in here. And then these files as well. So if you can just, copy everything here and then the SRC folder and submit those in. Okay. It's really important that you include the Angular and the package.json files. Those are really extremely important. And of course, the server file too. So what you do is, here's my recommendation. Every week when you work on your assignments in here, when you are done and you're ready to submit, then you can go ahead and in the same location here, create another folder. So you can call it Unit 1, for example. And then inside here, you can go and copy the SRC folder, and you can shift click all the way onto all of these here. Don't move it, just copy, okay? So copy or right click and then make a copy of it. And then go into Unit 1 and just paste it right in here. So you have a copy of all of those except the node modules folder. Okay, so now because you don't have the node modules folder, it's not going to be able to run. So when I go into that folder, Unit 1, and so you can actually submit this, right? Zip this and submit this for your Unit 1 assignment. And then you move on to Unit 2 next time and do the same thing again. So once I receive your files, this is how you run it. And if you were to distribute this to another person to run it, you would do the same thing. Just make sure you include these files. And so I will go into my terminal here, and I'm in the Unit 1, as you can see. That's all I have. I don't have the no modules. You need that. But all those information are stored inside this package file. This is the metadata file that contains all your programs. So I just basically go here and say, do npm install. That's all I'm going to do. npm will look inside your package.json file, and you must have one. If you don't have one, it's not going to work. It will fail. And if you open the package.json file, it tells you your flight application information. It lists all the things that you need under the dependencies property here. So all these will be downloaded, and all these extra libraries as well. And these, libraries also depends on other libraries as well. That's why your no modules will be very, very bloated. Okay, so as you can see, when I do that, I'm going to terminate here because it's going to be really big. Okay, so you can see that it created a no modules folder automatically. Instead of no modules folder, right here are all the files that Angular needs. Not just Angular, but other apps in here might need. Okay, so that's why we don't want to include that file. This is really huge. And so just make sure you don't do that. And how big is this file? Well, you can find out if I go up here and say, if I click on here and I view the Explorer file and go in here, you will see that this file, if it shows, it doesn't show it. You do a right click, go to property. As you can see, this is huge, right? About 351 megabyte. Okay, and the more libraries you add, this can grow really huge to a gig, sometimes more, depending on how much you have in your program. So we don't need all of those because those can be obtained, from my system, and I download them directly here. Okay, so that's what you need to do for your assignments each week. Submit this unit folder or without the modules. Okay, so that's that, and this also applies to the final project. And then include a Word document of your screenshots of your code and the result page. I use this to help me grade, so I can grade it faster. Also take a really quick look at your source code in the output, and also to help make sure that your code is running, your app is running, it's functioning, so I can help you better. And so please do that. Now let's talk about the final project over here. The final project here, you can build the same app that we're going to build in this class. We're building an app called Flight App, which lists all the flight information about an airport and some flights. The live example, live app, you can see here. I list a link to both the React version and the Angular version. So for those who are taking the React, they will see the same app. Will look very similar. So I'm going to load both of those. You can compare. As you can see, when you run for the first time, if the app is not rendered yet, it might take a while, as you can see here. Okay, I'm running this on the Heroku server, so it might take a while to render. But this is a React version. You can see the logo here. This is the React logo, but it should work very similar or identical to the Angular app. Okay, and we're gonna wait until that loads. So here we go. The logo tells you that's an Angular app, and as you can see, they look very similar. If I go back to the home page, right, almost like you can't tell, just a little bit zooming out of the text here. But the pages are, you can see, it loads very smoothly. The page does not refresh. As you can see, if I move from one screen to the next screen, right, nothing gets refreshed. Reload. Just the content will be loaded because we're building a single page application. Everything loads dynamically as we go, and that's what you want. Very smooth page load. So the data here, you can see, are actual data from an object. And this example here, the data are actually just pulling from a local file in the local server. It's not actual data from a database. I did not do that because if I do that, I'll be deleting data directly from the database server. However, when you reach the end of the course, the last week of the class, you're going to load actual data from a database server, which I will provide. Okay, but for now, you can play along here to see how it works. You can edit. I can delete these one by one, or delete all of them. Okay, and then I can navigate back and forth here. You see this normal data, and if you refresh the page again, everything comes back again because it's just some test data. So that is what you're going to build for this course. All right, so back here, and then if you want to build your own app instead of the Flight app, absolutely you can do that. You just need to let me know. And so you can do that. The only problem you might run into is when we reach the last week of class, you're going to load some data from a live server. So you have to either create it yourself, using Node.js or using any other application that runs a server, or PHP, doesn't matter. And you're able to perform CRUD against that app. And if you need help, again, just let me know. If you do write your own app, just make sure that your content, the functionality meets the same requirements or similar requirements for this assignment, this course. So if I ask like a form, for example, then you should have a form on the page. And when I say form, I don't want just a single field, right? I want a form that might have like 4 or 5 or more fields, just so they work, like a regular functional web page. So to get the best out of this course is to do something like that. Okay, so if you're not sure, just let me know. Okay, so this is all I want to talk about here, and if you get stuck anywhere at all, please let me know. Let me know early if you have questions. Again, we're moving really fast, so if you wait like 3, 4, 5 days, that's like almost a week or 2 weeks, in a regular semester. So let me know early. And don't wait until the day it's due or the last week of class and to try to get everything in. Chances are you may not be able to. And secondly, I may not be able to help you because I'm also busy with other classes too. Okay. So, okay, well, that's it. Any questions? Again, please let me know. Reach out to me via email, or you can also post your comments or questions in the discussion board, and I'll get to you as well.